Hey guys, SGT here. I couldn't be more pleased to have on the line Bill Still, the mind behind the classic documentary The Money Masters, and your new documentary The Secret of Oz. Bill has a new book out called No More National Debt. Bill, welcome.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Chris, our buddy from dogbarker.com, for getting me in touch with you, Bill. You know, your film, The Money Masters, really played a central role in helping to wake me up. And in fact, after watching it the first time, I turned around and I watched it again because it is such a landmark documentary in this struggle against the money masters. Bill, before we get started, I just wanted to sort of set the framework here. This audience is very in tune with what we're up against as it relates to the banksters. This has been a multiple generations long battle across decades and even centuries, and in fact, it dates all the way back to King Henry in 1100 AD, and in fact, even before then, it dates back to Jesus in the temple confronting the money changers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all about one thing. Should money be created in the public interest? And my contention is that the very definition of national sovereignty is the ability to control the money supply. And that's what we think happens today, but that's not what's going on today. Today, the biggest banks are in virtual total control of the American money supply and really the money supply of every nation worldwide. And yet the central bank's job is primarily to make it appear that their respective governments are in control when, in fact, that's just a huge delusion.
Right. The central banks across the planet really are what plagues us. And, many of us are waking up to that and have woken up to that. And in large part, thanks to your work. There have been many before us, dating all the way back to Andrew Jackson. And you've really picked up the torch. In your documentary, The Secrets of Oz, you say, and I quote, "This is the ultimate human rights struggle, humankind's escape from serfdom." Why don't you level set for us and help us redefine the problem for those to whom this information is new?
Yeah, if you want to really get to the basics of what's going on here, look at the past 1,000 years of human history. Politically speaking, it has been the struggle of humanity to escape serfdom. What is serfdom? That's basically that there's no class mobility, that all the money is controlled in very few hands, and that the rest of us essentially work as slaves. So that's what certainly the history of political development in Great Britain and Europe in general has been. It's that people form together, come together, and corporately, just like the little field mice in the Wizard of Oz analogy, corporately together we can form a government of self-determination and thereby hold the money changers at bay. I'm not for eliminating the rich people or eliminating capitalism or anything like that. I think capitalism, if it's actually incentive driven and not where a very few people have an unfair monopoly on money, is a very good thing, because incentives make you work harder. Incentives keep you slim and sleek. And that's all a good thing. But what the problem is at this point is that the money changers have run this 1,000-year battle with the rest of humanity, trying to eliminate these democratic reforms, that have taken place. For example, the Magna Carta in Great Britain in the 1200s, and that was the foundation for the American Constitution, which, of course, to date is the highest expression of human freedom for the middle class, in any case, that there's ever been. And what that means is, we can now have social mobility. The power pyramid is very broad. It's easier through your own hard work and efforts for you to actually climb the social pyramid. In other words, you can have class mobility. You can create wealth for yourself and your family that you can pass on. That's what the money changers don't like. They don't like that broad-based pyramid of human power. They don't like people actually having some semblance of control over their destinies, and that's what they're trying to eliminate right now with this central bank scam and the debt money system that it rides upon, which is choking the life out of democratic nations worldwide.
Yeah, and maybe you can help us understand constitutional money. And in The Secrets of Oz, you specifically cite one of the flaws with the Constitution is essentially what was set up to be constitutional money, gold and silver. I hope I'm not misstating that, but here's my question. I think for those of us who have woken up over the past 5 and 10 years, and ever since Nixon took us off the gold standard, for those of us who are waking up to all of this, it would seem that returning to the gold standard, which Nixon took us off of, would be the answer. But you're very careful to say that, no, that actually is not the answer. Tell us more, would you?
No, that's the fake answer. That's the false answer. And in fact, just about a month ago, the head of the World Bank came out saying exactly that recommending that the world go back onto a gold standard. So for those who think that commodity-backed money or metal-backed money is the answer, well, you're in company with the head of the World Bank. I hope you like that kind of company. We were on the gold standard during the Depression of the 1930s. That didn't do us a bit of good. Gold is concentrated money. It allows the richest people on the planet to more easily control money and control the flow of money. We were on a gold-only standard during the entire 30-year post-Civil War Depression. That was great for the bankers, great for the holders of gold, the richest people on the planet, but horrible for freedom, horrible for democracy. Gold-backed money has never functioned to enhance the cause of freedom for the middle class in any country at any point in human history. The only way money can effectively serve the public interest and be in control of the voting electorate and its government is to have it be valueless and ubiquitous. And valueless is the most important term. And the reason is, if President Obama gave you a call, for example, tomorrow and said, Sean, I'm gonna put us on a gold money system tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm not going to tell anybody else but you. And, of course, gold is going to multiply by a factor of 10 in the next 24 hours. What would you do? You'd go and buy every speck of gold you possibly could do. Now, what would happen as a gold money bill slowly marched its way through Congress? What do you think the rich guys club of the world would do? They'd buy up every bit of gold they possibly could. Now, on top of that, the U.S. government probably owns no good deposit gold, 995 gold. They're claiming they have 240-some million ounces left in Fort Knox, but there is excellent evidence that none of that exists, that the only stuff they showed during the one peak in 1973 was probably some of Roosevelt's coin melt when he brought in the gold coins and melted them down, which, of course, would be at most 90% purity. If the U.S. government had good deposit gold, they would certainly show it. Because federal law requires that the gold in Fort Knox, the greatest treasure of gold ever assembled in the history of the world, at the end of World War II, 72% of world gold was in Fort Knox. That gold treasure is required by federal law to be submitted to an annual physical audit, every year. Do you know when the last time a physical audit of the gold reserves in Fort Knox was done?
The 50s, wasn't it?
1957.
Right. It's
now been 55 years, and no accounting, no audit of the greatest treasure in the history of the world. So you have to, that's how I got onto this story as a newspaper reporter here in Northern Virginia. I got onto this about 1980, and that's what started me on this whole quest. I started out just like the folks who believe that commodity-backed money is the answer. I thought that was just a given, but it turns out it's not. The only way money can effectively serve the public interest is for it to be valueless.
Now, just to help people understand, and you can give me a history lesson here too, because I'm not going to get this entirely right, but the colonial script, which I believe was issued by Lincoln, do I have that right? That was working just fine until the British started to counterfeit it. But tell us a little bit about why that system works.
Right. Well, there are a couple big examples of hyperinflation when government has the right to issue its own money. There are two examples, Weimar Germany and the continental currency, that gold bugs always throw up in your face. But during the Revolutionary War, The American Congress did not print too much money. It was the first case of economic warfare. The British parked 2 counterfeiting ships in Boston Harbor, and this is extremely well known. There was a recent paper by a Harvard professor just last year or the year before detailing this, which I go into the book in great detail to try to settle this argument once and for all. The British massively counterfeited, and that's why you have the great George Washington quote that a wagon load of currency will barely buy a wagon load of provisions. Now, here's the scoop. If it turns out to be true that we can fix this entire economic problem, and trust me, this economy is not coming back. It's going right down the tubes in a rather slow and ponderous death spiral, but that's what it is, a death spiral because of the weight of compounding debt that our money system incurs.
Please click here for part 2 for the conclusion to this dramatic interview with Bill Still.